Have you ever felt, I don't know, kind of held back by that little voice in your head? You know the one that critiques and doubts and just seems to worry all the time. Well, today we're going to dive into how you can actually transform that negative inner critic into your greatest ally. Seriously, just take a second and think about it. What's the general tone inside your own head? Is it like a cheerleader or is it more of a harsh judge? Because the things we tell ourselves day in and day out have this massive impact on how we feel and what we end up doing. So let's get really clear on what we're talking about. The inner critic isn't just any old thought. We're defining it as the specific voice that kicks off those feelings of shame or fear or inadequacy. It's the source, the trigger for that negative emotional spiral. But what if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if that voice, even when it feels super critical, isn't something we need to shut up or fight with? What if it's actually pointing toward an incredible opportunity for growth? To help us reframe that inner voice, let's explore this really powerful metaphor. It offers a completely new way to think about our inner world. So instead of seeing it as a battle against some kind of critic, I want you to imagine a collaboration between a gardener and a vine. And this one line from the book of John is the entire foundation for this new perspective. It completely flips the script. It positions us not as these flawed beings that need to be fixed, but as a vine, full of potential, ready to grow, all guided by a very purposeful gardener. And check out this comparison, because this is where it really clicks. The world's voice, that inner critic, it just zooms in on every single flaw, right? And it makes you feel shame. But the gardener's voice, it sees potential. It sees the fruit you could bear. It doesn't criticize you, it cultivates you. It doesn't want to cut you down, it wants to help you grow. Okay, so if the main goal is growth, then what about all those difficult moments? The challenges, the failures, the setbacks? Well, in this framework, the gardener has a specific tool for that. It's called pruning, and it has a very specific and surprisingly positive purpose. The source scripture lays out two key actions. First, the gardener removes what's not productive. This is about letting go of the habits, the mindsets, the things that are just holding you back. But then, and this part is so important, the gardener also prunes what's already working, what's already bearing fruit, to make it even better, even more fruitful. And you gotta understand, this whole pruning process isn't just for when things go wrong. It's not reserved for one little area of your life. It is a constant, ongoing process of refinement. It definitely happens in the valley, right? During our toughest challenges and our lowest moments, that's when those unproductive branches are super visible, and yeah, they need to be cut away. But, and this might surprise you, it also happens on the mountaintop. When we're successful, the gardener prunes us to keep us from getting complacent, to prepare us for even greater things. It's all about taking something that's already good and making it truly exceptional. So let's be absolutely clear, pruning is not punishment. Not at all. It is a powerful, intentional, and life-giving process of transformation. It's designed specifically to help you reach your absolute fullest potential. And this whole idea of radical transformation, it shows up again and again in the source material. It's about bringing life to what seems totally dead, like calling dry bones to life. It's about creating a path where there is no path, like opening a Red Sea. It's about removing the very obstacles that are chasing you down, or taking care of the Egyptians. And it's even about finding this profound purpose in your deepest pain, using the brokenhearted for a much greater good. So, after all this intentional work, this pruning and transformation, what's the point? What's the payoff for embracing this gardener's voice instead of that inner critic? Well, the results, the fruits of this labor, are things like freedom, joy, and real, undeniable progress. The promised outcome is, in a word, liberation. It's about breaking free from those self-imposed prisons of doubt and shame. The chains of all that negative self-talk, they get released. And that sets you free to finally move forward with real purpose. Because this whole process is about forward momentum. It's not about reaching some static, perfect state and then just stopping. No, it's about being on a continuous journey of growth, always becoming more and more fruitful. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually make this real in our own lives? Let's get practical. Let's turn to some action steps you can take to start cultivating this new voice for yourself. First things first, you have to define the goal. For you, personally, what would a positive inner voice even sound like? Would it be encouraging, gentle, maybe firm but fair? You've got to get specific about what you're actually aiming for. Now, why even bother? Why does this matter? Just imagine for a second that you had that voice. What would actually change for you? More confidence? Less anxiety? Better relationships? Connect this whole process to real-world benefits that you can actually get excited about. And finally, you gotta look at the other side of the coin. What's the cost of doing nothing? If you just let that inner critic keep running the show, where will you be in a year or in 5 years? Sometimes understanding the consequences is the most powerful motivator for change. And here's the best part. This isn't some far-off, unattainable goal. The freedom, the joy, the progress, all that potential for a new inner voice is available to you right now, in this very moment. It's a choice you can start making today. So where do you start? With one simple but incredibly powerful action. Rejoice. Just be grateful for the vine that you are, for the incredible potential you hold, and for the gardener who is always ready and willing to help you grow.